Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He used to sharpen all of his pencils every day before going to school, Pat Flynn.
All right, happy Friday. Today I want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and specifically ChatGPT, and a very specific use case that I've just experienced myself. In fact, it was one of the most helpful things in a while, and I'll tell you exactly why I started using it. It's been used quite a bit. It's the buzzword or the buzz programmer software right now, ChatGPT. If you don't know what this is a tool based on OpenAI that allows you to offer prompts and even have discussions with it. And it's sort of like a chatbot, but times a million. I mean, it's so smart in what it could do and what it could provide for you. And I know a lot of people who are using it for not so great things, right? With great power comes great responsibility, and a lot of people are not responsible with this tool. You could tell it to write you an email or write a blog post, and you can just copy and paste it and put it on your website. You could, if you were a student, write me a 5-paragraph essay about the Byzantine Empire that argues X, Y, and Z, and boom, it'll spit it out for you. It's really powerful in how it sounds, and yes, it can be abused in that way. However, I'm not late to the scene, if you will. I've been experimenting with it mostly just for like party tricks, if you will. I've gotten a little bit involved in experimenting with Midjourney and using that to inspire thumbnails and such. But I do have to give credit to my buddy Rick Mulready. Rick Mulready from The Art of Online Business. He and I get coffee every single Friday, and we were chatting, and he's getting really big into AI as well, mostly in the sense of how might it be able to help him in his workflow and his productivity and help his students. And there are certain things that are very, very useful that he's telling me about. And I've gone a little bit further into it, and it's definitely a rabbit hole, I will say. This is why I've been pretty much late to it, because I didn't want to go deep into it without knowing what the applications would be. But this is how I do things. I notice things. I don't jump in right away, but I see how everybody else is using them, and then I pull from the best. I'm almost like, somebody once said, I'm sort of like the Apple of, I don't know, self-development, if you will. I don't know if that makes sense, but the idea that Apple, typically waits for Android to come up with new ideas and to develop things, and then Apple then takes that and makes them much, much, much better. That sounds really bad, like I'm Apple. I don't want to say I'm Apple at all, actually. I take all that back, but I know exactly where my friend was coming from. Anyway, here's why I started to dive into it this past week. You may have heard, if you were on my email list and have heard perhaps on social media, that a couple of my family members in the house had gotten sick. And I'm not going to say what they got sick with, but it was the thing we were all trying to avoid for several years. And so both of them were sort of stuck in their rooms and quarantined. And, my daughter and I had to, we were able to steer clear from the thing that shall not be named, the Voldemort of diseases these past few years. And so that's been taking up a lot of my time. I've had to cancel a lot of meetings and do things to ensure that my family is healthy as can be and is as happy as can be despite the circumstances. And I'm very grateful because I've gotten a lot of well wishes and prayers and, get well soons and all that kind of thing. So thank you so much for that. But I still have work to do. And right at this moment, I was asked by my team to write an entire email sequence for something particular that we're offering inside of SPI. But I didn't have a lot of blocks of time to be able to do this. So I said, okay, how might I, not how am I, but how might I be able to use ChatGPT to be able to create this email series? And one thing that Rick taught me was that instead of just saying, do this, ChatGPT, you can essentially, and many of you know this already, who are going into the rabbit hole of ChatGPT, you can offer ChatGPT prompts. For example, if you are a struggling entrepreneur, this is a prompt that you would put into the software, by the way. You are a struggling entrepreneur, somebody who works a 9-to-5 job that you're not completely happy with. You've been experimenting with trying things here and there to get out of the rat race. However, it's very frustrating because you don't have much time. You've been very frustrated with the results so far. And you also get discouraged because other people seem to have figured it out, but you're still feeling like you are unable to do it and you want to give up. That sounds very dreary, but I know that that's a lot of my avatar, the people who listen to the show, the people who are on my email list. So I'm telling ChatGPT, this is who you are. And then I say, what are 5 limiting beliefs that you might have about yourself that is stopping you from starting your online business? And boom, it gives me a list of 5 things in great detail based on its knowledge, based on its connections to information out there. It's just like, what? Insane. So that's really great, right? I get these 5 limiting beliefs. And then I go, okay, can you write an email about the first limiting belief and use an example, and I will fill in the gaps with a real story to go in with that example. And then I hit enter, and then it remembers where I came from, right? It knows that I just typed in that thing to uncover those limiting beliefs, and now I tell it to write an email, and it literally writes it, dear name, as if you can just copy and paste that. Now, never once in the now 48 hours that I've been using this quite heavily have I just seen something that would be copy-paste worthy, meaning it still always requires some sort of doctoring or putting your voice into it. However, what I'm loving about what I'm seeing here is it's saving so much time, and it's getting rid of any sort of writer's block that may happen, right? Another thing, there was an email in particular that I wanted to write a summary of one of our students. And I said, hey, read this podcast transcript, because this person, Maria, was a guest on our show a number of episodes back, and I wanted to share her story. And in fact, I offered ChatGPT, I said, read this transcript of this podcast interview with Maria and write me a summary of her hero's journey and transformation from hobbyist to business owner. Boom. It gave me a couple paragraphs which perfectly highlighted the struggles that she had, where she got guidance from, and how she now is living this life as a business owner, somebody who's generating an income with a book and all this kind of stuff. Like, it pulled from the transcript. What? This is amazing. So one thing that I think is very applicable for many of you who may have a podcast, for example, is to get the transcript for it. You might use a tool like Descript. We have a tool at Fusebox that allows you to display your transcript on your website nicely. And so if it's there like that, you can just tell the ChatGPT to go to that URL and read the transcript. You know, it doesn't quite, you can't give it an audio file and it doesn't like go through it yet, although I would imagine that could happen one day in the future. Or, hey, watch this video and give me a summary. But if you're a podcaster and you write show notes, you can have ChatGPT write the show notes for you. And again, don't just copy paste, but I would say it's like at this point in time, 75% to 85% there. It's pretty amazing. It's going to pull things out. And then if you wanted to write bullet points, make a list of 5 bullet points and takeaways from this podcast episode that would be helpful to convince a person who fits the description I mentioned earlier to feel convinced enough to hit play on this episode. What? And I'm learning as I'm going through this that there's a certain kind of language, not like a language from another country, although it feels like it sometimes. Do you see how I'm like prompting ChatGPT? Prompt is the keyword. You can find prompts out there on YouTube and on websites. A lot of people are blogging about these prompts now that you can literally just take. A lot of marketers are offering prompts. Rick gave me a couple. Check out Rick's stuff. He's talking about AI a lot on his YouTube channel and on his podcast. Again, The Art of Online Business with Rick Mulready. But the applications are pretty amazing. What's cool about this is this kind of stuff would allow me to get time back from stuff that would normally take a lot of time and wouldn't have a huge impact. And, I say that with an asterisk. Show notes are important. They're important for search engine optimization. They're important to help convince a person who may or may not want to listen to that show to listen to the show if they're on your website. But it's not a huge lever, right? It's not going to be a game changer. What this does is it allows me to hand off a lot of the time spent to create things like show notes, like the skeleton of an email, or like pulling out the limiting beliefs of my target audience. I know those limiting beliefs already. You should if you're a business owner. But to then see it from the outside using a tool like ChatGPT, very, very good for coming up with new ideas and all those kinds of things. This is stuff that allows me to get time back to put into the bigger levers in my business. Now I have more time, currently, to take more care of my family. But that time for you could be spent, of course, taking care of your family, but building relationships with people, being a guest on other people's podcasts, having more guests come on your show, because a lot of the stuff that you would normally spend a lot of time on that isn't a big lever is now handed off to tools like this. And it's only going to increase in acceleration the amount of tools that are available like this for us. And I would implore you to understand that when this there's no stopping it, by the way. So I know a lot of us don't want things to change, or a lot of us feel like now we have to play catch up with things like this. This is why this episode exists, like to let you know that I'm now saying this is here and it's coming even faster. Yes, you could feel like you're left behind, and yes, you could definitely learn about these things. Yes, there are people out there who know about these things who can help you. But more than that, when you get that time back, where are you going to put it? That's the biggest thing. I'm talking about this kind of stuff in my upcoming book related to time management, learning management, learning capabilities, learning faster, because you will get that time back in some way, shape, or form thanks to these tools, especially if you use them correctly, and more people are innovating in this world for sure. But I don't want it to be like how most of us have experienced productivity at one point in our lives, which is you get productive, you optimize, only to do more busy work in that extra time you got back that doesn't actually matter, right? What are the big levers in your business? Those are the things that we need to open up more time for, and that's what tools like this can help you do. Thank you so much for listening into today's episode. I appreciate you, and we got another one coming next week, so don't miss out. It's going to be great. I love you, and thanks for the well wishes again, and I'm just praying that I don't get the thing that shall not be named, and I hope you don't either, and if you do, I hope that you just breeze right through it. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running.
You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to tailorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Tailor Brands. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips? Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.